Hello and welcome to the 16th installment of my grading of all of the base game cards. If you want insight into the grading system, check out the description or click on the link in the top right hand corner to get to the first video, where I explain it all. But let's get started. Greenhouses is a card with multiple use cases. It's not just used in the last gen to get as many plants as possible and get another 1 or 2 greeneries down. It's also one of the cheapest plant tags in the game and comes without any restrictions. This means it's really good for insects or NRA, even if you just get 2 or 3 plants off of it. You can also use it to unexpectedly claim the oxygen bonus bump or save your plants from getting destroyed in the mid-game, by getting just enough to convert. The only problem with greenhouses is that its main use case, getting a ton of plants in the late game, is reliant on the number of cities on the board, and especially in 2P this can be disappointing. Its value is much higher in games with a higher player count, and it's comically good in 5P because people are going nuts with cities in that mode, and it's basically a direct way of scoring points. All in all, I think Greenhouses is a solid B tier card and you seldom go wrong with it. Let's talk about another noob trap, probably the biggest one in the game: hackers. You might think, well, it's a differential of 4 MC prod, this gotta be worth it to play in Gen 1 or 2. It's not. The power prod is costly, and you don't only have to pay for the power, but also for the opportunity cost of not playing another power-hungry card instead. And then there's the negative point. If we accept that the power cost is between 7 and 11 MC, either for the project card power plant or for the standard project, you need to buy this for 3 MC in the draft and the point is worth roughly 5 MC, then this card costs between 18 and 22 MC. It would take 5 gens to recoup all this, and remember, MC is worth more in the early game than in the late game. In addition, Hackers grants no useful tags, so it doesn't help on any milestone, and in games with 3 players or more, it might be possible to hit the wrong player, meaning one that will be last place in the end anyways. All in all, I can never recommend playing this. It's F tier in my opinion, and one of the weakest cards in the game. When I first started playing Terraforming Mars, I was convinced that Heat Trappers was one of the weakest cards in the game. However, this card can be absolutely devastating in the right situation. Hitting someone that just played Mohole Area or Import of Advanced GHG completely messes them up, and it's basically a 3 heat prod swing since you get a power prod in return. That 3 heat prod swing will give you an enormous boost in your comparative terraforming potential and is very beneficial for Thermalist. It all sounds like this card is one of the best in the game for now, but of course there are some problems with it. Sometimes you rely on this card to get power prod, but no one develops any heat prod and then you're screwed. Also, this card of course isn't great in the late game to play something like Open City with, just because of the negative point. And then this card is definitely best in 2P, where developing heat prod is meta and you only have one opponent to hit, so you know it will have maximum impact. But in reverse, in 3P and above, this card can be a double-edged sword. All in all, I think Heat Trappers is a C tier card. Heather is a really solid, low-cost, low-impact mid-game plant card. Low-cost plant cards are especially useful for the green combo, since you get the same benefit of a viral, deco or ecozone by playing a low-cost card like Heather as by playing a high-cost card like kelp farming. When talking about greenhouses earlier this episode, I also said that low-cost plant tags are great for insects and NRA, but this is only partially true for Heather, since it comes down relatively late. If heat is racing up or if you're playing Inventrix, this can still be super useful though. I think Heather is a solid card all around, but its low impact forces me to place it in C tier. Just compare it to Bushes, for example. It comes down just a little bit later, but has an enormous upside compared to it. And lastly for today's episode, let's talk about Herbivores. This card is awesome. It rewards you for one of the best things you could do: setting up a lot of plant production and placing tons of greeneries. Greeneries grant 2 points on their own as long as the oxygen isn't maxed out, and 3 if you have a city adjacent to them. And in addition to that, you can collect minerals, more plants or MC on the board. That's why plant production is already one of the best ways of passively accumulating points every gen. With Herbivores, you get half a point more per greenery, which is honestly nuts. It also starts with half a point already, and it counts for the greeneries you place after the last gen as well, which will mess with some opponents' point calculations. And even if you just place 3 greeneries after playing Herbivores, which is honestly really easy to do, It scores 2 points, grants an animal tag, and most importantly, you can lower your opponent's plant prod by 1, which is more influential than it might seem, because it might mean that your opponent can place 1 fewer greenery. That's minus 3 points. So all in all, Herbivores is an A-tier card for me. It is super good in a ground game strategy, and even if you're not going for plant prod, you will need to cut it from your opponents almost every time you see it. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments whether you agree with my ratings, or if not, how you would have rated them differently. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. And lastly, please check out my Twitch and my Twitter. See you in the next video.